that is, the Maldivian government has finally taken strong action. Maldivian government has suspended 3 ministers. Ministers Mariyam Shiuna, Malsha and Hassan Zihan, and this is over the derogatory remarks which have been made on the Indian Prime Minister. Siddhant is now joining me. Siddhant, it's no longer going to be seen as an internal matter. It's a very strong message going across from Maldives to India as well, that you matter to us. And there's a zero tolerance zone as far as any derogatory comments against a head of government or state is concerned.
Well, that's right. And in fact, we are getting this piece of information from the reports in the media of Maldives that 3 of the sitting ministers have been suspended for making derogatory remarks against Prime Minister Modi. And if you remember, Pallavi, earlier in the day, in fact, the Indian High Commission in Maldives did launch a strong protest with the government of Maldives as far as these derogatory remarks are concerned, and that too being made by the sitting minister. Now we are getting to know, or perhaps the media in Maldives we are getting to know through the media in Maldives. We still don't have independent confirmation from the government or any of the senior official in the foreign ministry of Maldives. But what we are getting to know, the media is reporting that there is resignation. The government has perhaps suspended. So suspended is the word which has been used. 3 of the ministers has been suspended for making this derogatory remark. We are still awaiting official confirmation from the Ministry of External Affairs in Maldives, also maybe someone from the President's office. But right now we are relying on the reports that are coming from Maldives. Back to you, Pallavi.
Okay, Siddhant, this is but a big news, because this is exactly what the demand even the former tourism minister was making when he spoke to you a short while back. This is walking the talk, and this is something which, should you think, bring a closure to the entire incident and the controversy now?
Well, that's right, Pallavi. Look, there were tensions between the two countries. And in fact, there was deliberations made to find a solution to it. In fact, there was a core group which was formed by the two countries to look into the matter of the presence of the Indian troops in island nation. That was being resolved. In fact, both sides were cooperating with each other. If you remember, Pallavi, Kiran Rijiju, a senior minister from the government of India, was there in Maldives for the swearing-in ceremony of President Moizu. For India, neighborhood first is the policy and has always been the policy. Now, this sudden change in the attitude of the government of Maldives was Indian government was dealing with it, and in fact there were talks going on. But the derogatory remarks and in fact the racist comments being made by the senior leadership of the current regime, perhaps raises questions on the mindset and the viewpoint of the senior leadership, because if this suspension wouldn't have taken place, or perhaps if there is no suspension takes place, then the perception, if I talk about, then it would be taken as if these leaders have blessings of their senior leadership. That is how the politics and diplomacy works. But if suspension happens, that's right, Pallavi. For now, at least, this row will end, and perhaps we can expect the relations between the two countries will get back to normal. But for now, India has lodged complaint with the government of Maldives, because. Look, Pallavi, Prime Minister Modi is not just the Prime Minister of India. Okay. He is the leader of the global South. He is the tallest leader of the Indo-Pacific area. He's the world leader. He has the highest approval rating. Okay. He has
Siddhant, I'm sorry, I'm having to interrupt you here. I'm just going to get in a voice from a former diplomat, Anil Siguniath. He's joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You saw the steps which is, I believe, it has been taken by the Maldivian government, suspending those 3 ministers and MPs who have spoken against India. For many of those who were wondering whether relations between Maldives and India has dipped, I think this is a clear-cut signal that India does matter and a zero-tolerance zone when it comes to making any comments against our Prime Minister and our country.
Well, of course, it was, in my view, these kind of disparaging comments were highly undiplomatic and driven by a very myopic and a small mindset by some ministers who essentially do not understand diplomacy and the importance of India, and just for a small gain that they might have with their very minuscule constituency, they have done this. I mean, I don't quite understand the logic behind all this. It does not happen. But at the same time, in a way, it is good that the government has taken whatever action they deem necessary. India has lodged this protest. India's foreign policy is driven by neighborhood first policy. And Maldives is one country which has benefited the most from India's largest goodwill and everything. And even till today, we continue to support them all through in their journey. So what happens, and against Prime Minister Modi speaking like that, I think it is shameful and it should be condemned by everyone.
But do you think Maldives is a little worried if, because after all, the mainstay of the economy is tourism, and, it's very clear that the Prime Minister, for example, was recommending, without mentioning Maldives, that Lakshadweep should also be looked at as a new favored destination. You think these kind of comments also may emerge out of this sense of unease and an insecurity?
Well, if that is the case, then, if they are so insecure, then they should not be talking about it. They should be looking into that they have been trying, what they are trying to do, especially this government which has come. They started an anti-India campaign in the first place, in the out campaign and all those kind of things, and they did not react to that. It is like, Kalidas basically sitting on a branch and cutting it. They have got the biggest benefit from India throughout. And so, what is Prime Minister doing? He's going to different parts of the country. In my own country, if he goes anywhere and he says this is a beautiful place, so tomorrow somebody goes to Goa and the other people start having these kind of worries. That is not our problem. And of course, if you want India to welcome, then you cannot berate the country and its leaders.
Yes.
As simple as that.
But you think now there's a closure which comes in, because there was also concern being raised that the Maldivian government, the present Maldivian government, was tilting a little bit towards China. But do you think this incident of suspension of those 3 ministers brings a closure to this? And yeah.
No, you see, this is very different now. Today, the current government's proclivity is definitely towards China. The president is visiting China soon, and we will have to see how they react thereafter. So this kind of competition in the region, in our neighborhood between India and China and pro-China and pro-India, this is going to continue. There is something that one cannot wish away. But the kind of exchanges that these ministers did and the kind of tweets they issued is really below any dignified behavior from a responsible government official.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for speaking to CNN News 18. Well, that's it for me from now, but this certainly is the big story. Trouble in paradise as Maldives was concerned, as our Prime Minister pushed our own paradise. Thank you so much for watching.